So to kick things off, as you can see, we have made a beautiful looking panel. And I would like to quickly start by running down the line, getting a bit more background actually on each of you. So perhaps if you can, a bit about yourselves, a bit about your academic backgrounds, and what initially inspired you to transition into data scientist. And as John has the mic, we'll start with you, please, John.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm John. I've been at the trade desk for about 3.5 years. And before that, I was up in Edinburgh doing a master's in informatics, which basically means computer science. But the informatics degree basically allowed me to kind of choose across like a wide range of computer science courses. And it kind of started off more prescribed, like maths courses that everyone had to do and programming languages that everyone had to learn. And then kind of halfway through, we were given more choice. And then I started having the option in like third year to choose data science, machine learning courses. And as soon as I started those, I was like immediately certain that I wanted to do data science versus like software engineering or anything else. And I think it's mostly just like the applied nature. Like I liked seeing the impact that like the machine learning algorithms could have and like real world problems. And then I, on my master's project, chose cancer data science, which again, like I really like the impact of knowing like the real world application versus something more abstract. So that's why I went into data science.
Amazing. Thank you very much, John. Down to Ruairi.
Hey, I'm Ruairi. I also work at the trade desk on the supply path optimization team. Before I was at the trade desk, I was working in academia. I did a master's and a PhD at the University of Oxford, and then I did a postdoc at the National Institute of Health, which is the branch of the US government that does biomedical research. I was in systems neuroscience, so it's a kind of field of study that tries to figure out the patterns of brain activity that are associated with specific brain functions. So we'd set up experiments where we would teach a mouse to do a very specific thing. We'd record neuronal activity, and then we would try to relate the patterns of neuronal activities to specific things that the mouse were doing. I became interested in data science like right at the start of my PhD. I made a goal right at the start because this is something I really want to do. And I think it was multiple things. As I started to learn more about machine learning statistics and programming, I just really liked it. I much preferred working on these types of problems than manually collecting data. So slowly, it kind of, my research became more and more in this direction. Until my postdoc was basically just data science, but doing it in neuroscience. And yeah, now I'm here.
Thank you. Minyoung?
Yeah, hi, my name is Minyoung. So my PhD was in economics and also a lot of data. So I actually looked into matching, similar to what Trade Desk is doing, but instead of matching it with the price, you can match things with just the rankings. Instead of continuous variable, you have a discrete variables. So I looked, New York City is actually matching high school students to schools in that way. So I looked at that matching data to figure out supply and demand functions by looking at based on the rankings and based on their preferences, trying to figure out the functions. I liked it. And then after that, I realized that a postdoc and professorship is a lot about thinking about the questions. And then I realized I actually like answering questions instead of thinking about the questions. So I decided to move. Now I'm in an economic consulting firm where we get the data, but now we actually deal with a lot of regulatory pressures, whether the market itself is very competitive or not. And especially in digital, there's a lot of data science that needs to be understood about the market. So that's kind of where I'm working on, and I'd like to work on the future too.
So, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Roushanak. So I've been working on data science, I guess, since like undergraduate, but we were not calling it data science then. We were like more into signal processing and image processing and finding the patterns in the data, and it was fascinating for me. So I've done a PhD in Edinburgh, and then which was the focus was computer vision, with the focus for basically finding the meaning of the medical images to find the cancer. and helping radiotherapists. After that, I started doing several postdocs. So I was at the University of Cambridge, St. Andrews, and Institute of Cancer Research, where I was developing my deep learning networks. Yeah, to me, it was like amazing area. I really loved it, making those neural networks work. And I work a lot in the healthcare domain. Then after that, I was tired. I joined industry. I worked in a medical tech company for a few years. Then again, I went back to academia. I was a lecturer, and one of my students is here. And then again, I went back to industry. So now I'm at IBM consulting, and I really enjoy working with different types of data for different types of industries. And yeah. That's about
Amazing,
me.
amazing. Thank you very much. As you can see, we've pulled together a panel that have got a variety of experiences, some from PhD into industry, PhD into industry, back to academia, back to industry, and also with yourself, John, from that MSc path in. So what we're looking for here and what we have here is some good variety of experience, and that's what we're looking to drill into now. I guess I'm going to kick things off by, I guess, perhaps talking about what were some of the key challenges you might have faced making that move initially. I think it's been done, lots of people do it, it is a common pathway, but I think, you know, as part of the community, I end up speaking with people that are asking questions about how do we do it, what are the common challenges, and I think we'd like to start perhaps with the challenges, and then we can start to talk about, well, how did we do it? We've all done it. So I'll maybe, again, I'll maybe come down the line. And it may be that we jump about a bit or whatever, but as you have them, Mike Roushanak, I'll maybe start with you. Were there any particular key challenges when you made that first move, do you think, from your side?
The first challenge, I guess, is just to proving yourself. Because somehow they underestimate you when you want to come, especially if you come from like having a long background in academia. So because you get very niche into a specific problem, and then proving to the role that you're really interested in and proving that I'm there. Or some people might, you know, overestimate you, some of them underestimate you. Because from academia, you don't have that much experience of working with clients, you know, being a salesperson, you know, understanding, listening to people to understand their problem. As Minyoung was saying, like we are finding the questions ourselves, but you should be a good listener to just understand what the people want and try to solve them problem with the easiest way you can, rather than coming up with the latest algorithm or, you know, something that is not in the market. So to me, that was, I think, the main important thing.
Amazing, amazing. If we could keep coming down, and then we can perhaps drill into, well, how did you actually overcome, you know, that? So we'll come back to it, but that being underestimated coming from academia is a great kick-off point. And yourself, Minyoung, what was the biggest challenge, do you think, for you?
I'm still answering the first challenge question. Okay. It's a good question. I think. Oh, sorry. No.
Nothing.
No. There's so many challenges. I think. It's a relationship, you have it for a long time, you and the academia. So I think trying to figure out like a new partner in your career is new generally, and everything seems new, things seems very fast. So there's a doubt part, I think it's not about other people underestimating, it's also yourself underestimating for my case. So because academia is so focused on perfectly understanding very niche thing better than anybody else in the entire world, if you need to now all of a sudden cover a range of topics, and if you don't know at that level, I think there was a lot of challenges that I had about, oh, I don't know anything, and then the way in which that I presented myself is exactly that way. So I think that was probably the biggest thing to know, that it's okay to have different depth of understanding at different areas instead of you having to know everything. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's two things I found difficult. I think I came into my research career, my PhD, and then afterwards from biology, and I didn't know anything about data science, although I thought it was really interesting. And I taught myself everything, like programming, most of the statistics I would use now rather than more basic things, and machine learning. And although by the end of my time in academia, I was basically doing data science, I wasn't really doing it in groups where there was huge expertise. I was the person on the team doing it, basically. And I think it was difficult for me I was imagining in myself coming into the industry, like, oh, these are these unbelievable data scientists who've been doing it ever since they were 18. And I think it took me a little bit to get over that, to realize that these are just normal people, and it's really not that bad. So I think that was one thing that was difficult for me to like take the plunge to actually go start applying for jobs. The other thing is, I think the other side of that is that you need people to take a chance on you. So if you come from an unusual background, for example, academic field that is not data science related, yeah, you need someone to recognize that potential in you, or to see the similarities between what you're doing and the job that you'll go into. And yeah, not everyone will, and it's just like out of your control. So I guess it's just like being persistent and looking for the people who will take a chance on you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was pretty certain that I knew I wanted to do data science, but I was pretty unsure about like what kind of company I wanted to work for. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to work for like a big company, a small company, and stuff like that. And then we'll probably talk about it in more detail, but I did a program called the Faculty Fellowship, which was really useful I got to see lots of different companies and then decide out of those like which one I wanted to work for.
Yeah, perfect. And I think we definitely will drill into that, because I'd imagine within the audience there's people of all different levels, very experienced people that are just doing their MSCs at the moment. So hopefully there's going to be something for everyone. I think what would be interesting is just quickly to touch back in on those points that you talked about being underestimated, about having a bit of that doubt, about coming from that slightly different background. And then we'll drill into the faculty program, because I think that'll be good in its own respect. So perhaps of those things that we called out, first of all, did all three of you feel the same things about underestimated, bit of doubt, coming from slightly, is this like common amongst all of you, or was it, is it personal to you, do you think?
I think, okay, it's not happening all the time. When it comes from, it depends, let's say, when you want to apply for a company, what industry you're going, how far your background is. But what Minyoung said, self-doubt is like, I guess it's common. I remember I read a blog that there was one scientist, I think PhD graduate from MIT, wrote a blog about, I want to leave academia. I think the title was like this. When I was a PhD student, I read that. I was like, oh, everybody feels like this. And the title was like, I have a PhD. I want to leave academia, and I'm afraid of something like this. And when I spoke to my friends, that's the problem that lots of people have, because you were working for a long time on your own, the achievements you have, all of these things you're proud of, and now you want to kind of change. But I think even if you don't do a PhD, when you have a bachelor degree or even master degree, you have that, but you somehow give yourself to have that self-doubt, because you're saying, oh, I just studied 4 years, 5 years, I shouldn't expect much. But when you study more, you expect more from yourself, and especially you publish, let's say, in a Nature paper, and then when you go for a normal interview, but maybe of course like the domain is different at what you were doing, you might fail, and those are the things that lots of people are afraid of. But I think it's very common. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I remember watching, there's a YouTube video about a guy who is constantly seeking for rejection, just so that he can, I think it's a 30-day challenge of every day he's getting rejected from something. And I think just learning how to kind of detach from, oh, it's just rejection or maybe like just trying it out because it's different thing. You're trying for the new things. I think that helped me a lot mentally for some reason. I think I watched that video a couple of times and say, okay, that's okay. It's not personal. That company has its own thing going on.
Amazing, amazing. In terms of rejection, first of all, if anyone wants to experience it, I recommend recruitment. You get it a lot, okay? 30 days, that's rookie numbers, man. That's rookie numbers. Awesome. And I think actually separately, talking about your point, Ruairi, that was one of my actual questions in its own right, you know, moving from unobvious subjects. So if it's all right, we will come back to that one. What would be super cool is actually to perhaps hear about how you got that first job. You know, how you got that person or how you got that win, and that will then bring in faculty as well, because I think that's a really valid way. So as you have the mic, Ruairi, how did it pan out for you? How did you find that person that kind of believed, as it were?
Well, James is over there. He was the recruiter.
Oh, what a guy!
I don't know. I think persistence. It was difficult for me as well. Like I was living in Washington DC before I got this job, and I was applying to be in London. I promise I'm actually going to move. So that was hard. Yeah, I don't know. Apart from just keep on applying. Like I think you can be discouraged if you don't get many responses. But like I said, just like recognizing that these things are out of your control and have the courage to keep on going, basically.
Okay. Yeah, a bit of resilience.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll maybe save your one for last, John, if that's okay. So if it's okay to hear from Minyoung and Roushanak as well. How did you get your first job in commercial role?
I didn't actually, despite many times of me watching that video, I actually got recruited. So it was good, but I think it was just putting your like a resume out there. It's like it's a making sure that, and then I was talking to a couple of the firms, and it was and then doing a lot of interviews. And interviews, I think, I don't know whether it's still the case, but back then it took like a day of doing a whole case study, and then you have to submit it and you have to talk about it and all that. And then after that, you just ended up kind of funneling down to a couple of the firms that you want to talk to, and then you make a decision. So yeah, LinkedIn.
For me, when I decided to leave academia, so I started just applying on LinkedIn. But to be honest, by then I didn't have a lot of knowledge. I just wanted to go to big tech companies and just was targeting them. But yeah, I started like, putting more about my work on LinkedIn. And I had several interviews, but they were from completely different, industries, nothing related to what I was doing before. And I was enjoying it, understanding what's happening, what they really need, how should I prepare for the interviews, until a recruiter from LinkedIn approached, and they were looking for someone at a medical tech company that they were doing exactly what I've done during my PhD. So my PhD thesis, they found it, and it was very interesting for them. And yeah, the interview with them was very smooth, and I think, because it was something I've done before, so it was much easier for me to pass the interview for that one.
Amazing, thank you very much. And then yourself, John, you mentioned briefly at the start the faculty program. Could you tell us how that worked for you?
Yeah, so Faculty is a data science consultancy company, and they do a program called the Faculty Fellowship. And it's usually targeted at STEM PhDs in other industries that want to move into data science. And it's a 8-week program, and the first 2 weeks you kind of learn courses from data scientists at Faculty, and also like people from the product side and stuff like that. And then for the remaining 6 weeks, you're put with a host company, and they're your client, and you work on a project with them. And my client was actually the trade desk. So that's how I ended up joining here. But it was just a great program. It probably gave me a lot of like confidence starting out, and I'd recommend it if anyone's interested.
Amazing, amazing, thank you. I'm going to let you send that way, if possible. So I think one thing that would be interesting is, I think the common view is that you transition from academia into commercial roles, and there's a difference. There's a difference in culture, there's a difference in speed, there's a difference in commercial awareness and making money, etc., etc. What advice would you give on navigating, you know, there's differences. You've landed in the trade desk previously, you know, writing research papers, etc. What does that look like? What advice would you give to someone in that transition?
Again, I think I thought it would be a bigger difference, actually. I think it plays into the self-doubt. I thought that academia was going to be, you know, it's so open-ended, you can work whenever you want to work on. Timelines are very long versus working in industry, very prescriptive, timelines are shorter. And it's not really been the case at all. I'm sure it depends which company you go to, but the workflow, at least here at the trade desk, has been very open-ended. So in my job, I'm given very open-ended problems. I have some time to try different things and come up with different solutions. I was worried about this when I first joined. Like, I spoke to my manager, and my skip manager, being like, "Listen, I'm coming from academia. I'm worried about changes in timeline expectations and stuff like that." So I think it can also be helpful just to, if you're worried about this, just communicate it with people, and then they know that you're aware of it, and they can let you know if you're falling outside of that.
Perfect. And then rather than go to everyone, I'd maybe come to one of the two of you, if either of you got a specific opinion.
I don't have that much to add, but
I can
You
go
don't
through all
have
the
to.
time.
You don't have to.
I didn't realize how much communication mattered in the world, because in academia, the pace at which you talk to people are much less frequent than in the world, and the stakeholders are the same. And part of me is me doing consulting, where I don't only have stakeholders that also speak math. So just amount of communication that I have to process with different kind of audiences is a skill that I think I'm still learning. It's really, I think it's underrated, I think, in academia.
I think what I'm considering now is moving to academia. Is what I'm thinking about, basically. Awesome. I think keeping that conversation going about that transition over, the thing that I'd quite like to talk about now is if there's any specific tools or programming languages or methodologies that you've learned in industry. I'll maybe come to you first, John, if that's right. So again, you know, bearing in mind people are moving from academia, they're moving from their MSc, etc. What do you think are the key technical tools and skills they should be learning?
Yeah, so for context, the trade desk works with like very big data. So we have about 1 trillion ad opportunities per day. And so, yeah, just the data sets we work with here are just much bigger than anything I had worked with before. And when I first joined, that meant I had to learn like big data tools like PySpark. And now Spark is something I use every day, but I had never worked with it before. And I guess it was a bit of a learning curve at first, ramping up on Spark.
Amazing. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Anybody else have anything to add on the technical tools or skills?
I remember one thing that really helped me is I went to a hackathon when I was doing my PhD that a lot of actual data scientists were taking part in. And so I saw the way that they approached problems, what tools were they using, like how were they thinking about things. And so I tried to apply that in some of my own research, basically, like, oh, can I use these tools to solve similar problems, or can I think about things the same way? So I think if you have the opportunity to speak to data scientists and see how they approach things, it can be really helpful to point you in the right direction of what you might want to learn.
Amazing. Anything else for Minyoung or Rushanak?
I believe as a data scientist, the most general language we should know is Python. We should have a general knowledge about what's happening in the cloud, what is data engineering. And then after knowing all these basics, and nowadays there are tons of amazing courses online that maybe just in few hours or just maximum in a week, we can get a certificate of, you know, just not being the master, but understanding, for example, what is cloud computing, what is data engineering. And that really helps. Then after that, we can become more niche into a specific field we want, let's say data science. And then from that, we can even get more niche and tackle the industry we want. Let's say in bioinformatics, for example, maybe R is more popular I don't know, depends. Or if you want to go to a specific field, then you can choose and learn based on that. Does it make sense?
Great tip. Yeah, get good grounding basically, and then go from there. Anything from you, Minyoung, or are you happy with that? We're happy. Love that. We said it was going to be interactive. I've not seen a hand. I've been like looking out one. There's one there straight away. We're going straight to the back left. Sorry, Maddie. I've like just from nowhere. Hey. It was the chap at the very back left, please.
Yeah, sorry, didn't realise he's opening. Excuse me. Didn't realise he's opening questions. If I look back on my experience moving from academia to industry, I remember one of the biggest things was you realise you have a tendency to overcomplicate problems when you come from academia, and I was wondering if the panel has any advice for the rest of the audience on how they tackled that issue of going from looking at very niche, overcomplicated stuff to then trying to look at the most simple delivery aspect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great question. I'll maybe just check the mic's turned on actually. I'm not sure it is. But the question was in academia, when he made the transition from academia to commercial, he potentially had overcomplicated problems and took a different approach to, solving problems. So I guess the question is, how have you approached it now? Was that something you experienced? How do you go about solving problems in commercial roles as opposed to academia? Well, Minyoung, you had the mic. I can buy you some time. There we go. We've done it. You happy? No, you've got it, man. Come on. No pressure.
I think I've gotten to figure out some kind of framework. So I use a lot of like drawing tools a lot. At the end of the day, there's an objective function, and there's an input, there's an output, and there's constraints. And then you kind of have to like figure out all of this. And all of my PhD was that, but there are just like 4 of them. And then you have to combine it together. Usually like at work, maybe you work on one problem or something like that. But I think you just kind of learn to take a step back is how you think about it. Mm-hmm.
I think like in academia, like you join a new group and you all, well, at least the groups that I was in, you all solve similar types of problems. And so it's helpful just to ask other people, how are you solving this? And that's the same thing I've tried to do in industry. Like in my group, they've been working on this for a long time. How are they doing it? And I don't need to reinvent the wheel, basically. And the other thing, like I was saying before, like I was worried about exactly this. Just communicate. Like I'm worried I'm going to do this, and if you have a good boss, then hopefully they'll get you through that.
Amazing. There was definitely another hand or two there. Oh, there's so many. Come on, right down the front. Sorry, Maddie. Here it comes. There's a microphone. Hold it.
Oh, okay. There we go.
And go.
Thank you. So I'm working as a BI developer at the minute and moving into data scientist roles. How would you, from like you have industry experience now, how would you describe a high performer in the industry or like as a data scientist, so I can kind of try to catch up that level, I guess? I'm really sorry.
John's twitching. Give him the mic. Hey, this is an expert host. There was a slight twitch.
I might need to think about that one.
I can give you my email. Simple.
She can.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Yeah. To be honest, there's no way that you say that, I don't know, for example, this person is, but let's say in academia, how we were understanding somebody, let's say I'm a professor, I want to find my postdoc, how would I choose them? Of course, the interview and their publication. Is that the best way of choosing and ranking people? No. But do we have a better, way of ranking them? No. So the same thing for data science and finding the best engineer or data scientist. But the more you put in the internet about yourself, the more you participate in GitHub, on Kaggle, on the hackathon challenges, work with people that they are doing amazing stuff, going to the companies that they do really amazing work, then I think by then you would just feel more confident in yourself, and of course people would realize your value. That's what I say.
Nah, John's caught up. Come on, John.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, that like a good performer can look very different. And I was thinking, so in our annual review process, we basically have these competencies, and you view it on a chart. So it can be technical depth or breadth or presentation skills and all these different things. and the map is like your area represents like what kind of level you are, but the shape can show you like the point is where you're like better at soft skills or where you're better at like technical skills, and you can be at the same level with like a very different shape chart. So I think like a high performer can have a very different shape in that chart basically.
That fills me with confidence because all I see are software developers, and I'm like, wait, I have nothing close to that. But then, yeah, I may be good at other things. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Great shout. Like that, John. Like that. Where we go, Maddie?
Where do you want to go?
Let's go here. Come on. I'm coming this side. Don't worry. There was a few questions here in the first half. I'm just balancing it out a bit.
Hi, I'm looking to change careers. I've got an MSc now in data science, and I just wondered if you have, the panel has got any kind of ideas of what types of jobs to apply for, because I'm finding it very difficult to work out which ones I'm actually going to be able to do, even if just from the spec, I guess, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, there's so many different data science jobs. I guess it really depends on where can you see yourself working. Like, do you like, there's 1,000 different, like as you know, there's 1,000 different things that data science encompasses. Like you can go a more statistics route or computer vision, and it's all data science. But it just depends on what you actually like doing, I think.
That's it, yeah.
What was your background?
I'm a maths teacher.
Maths teacher.
Yeah, I've been teaching secondary maths, but I love data science. I've done this master's, and I love machine learning. I think it's amazing, and I'm just like, oh, it does this, and you know. But I find it difficult with the job descriptions to work out what that looks like. And I haven't got a particular, I want to be this or I want to be that. I want to do things with machine learning.
I've got, this will be the only thing I add of maybe even a little bit valuable in the panel. But there's statistics out there and difference between men and women making applications. And a man, if he hits 20% of it, he's like, I can do that job. I'll apply. You don't have to tick every bullet point, you know. So I'd also like, don't overthink it. You know, if it's completely out the realms of, you know, what you're able to do. But, you know, don't overthink it. If you're 70, 80% there, and the worst thing that's going to happen, you're going to end up having a conversation with someone, and that might help shape where you go in the future. So, you know, just get some applications out there, yeah. And do stuff like this. Come and talk to people. So, yeah, amazing. What was there anything else?
No, I completely agree with you. And I think I agree with you in a sense that somehow, like, you kind of have to figure out what you like to do because it's a long run kind of marathon. And there's so many tools out there about where you can, if you don't know where to start, you can just start by replicating somebody's project. Because there's a lot of, like, I think Medium articles about like, oh, I did this, and they literally give you step-by-step guidance of how, and then by doing so, you get to figure out whether you like that particular machine learning models or not. So I think doing something is...
Amazing, great question, thank you. We're over here, the chap with the lovely mustard jumper. Is that mustard? I don't know.
Hello? All right. Okay, so I noticed that between all the panelists, you guys all have extensive, I guess, PhDs, masters, research backgrounds. What was, I guess, each of your motivations for pursuing that level of attainment, and why not, I guess, sooner transition into industry if that was the decision you were going to make?
Do you want to start?
I really wanted to have a PhD and really loved teaching since I was high school. I really loved when I was like teaching, you know, maths to my younger cousin and everything I was learning. I was like so happy to teach everyone. I still love teaching. That's why I always have like a connection with universities. But during the time I wanted to do AI, we had to do a PhD. So data science was not offered in undergraduate. As I said, we were doing things like pattern recognition stuff, but it was like a part of engineering or computer science degrees. And that's why I've done it. You?
No, same. I think we were just talking about when we first started doing PhD, data science wasn't a thing, or it was just starting to be a thing. The other thing is, when I was doing undergraduate/university, I liked doing research at the time, and then your preferences change over time. It's also dynamic, as you know. So that's my answer.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same thing. So at the time I started doing my PhD, it wasn't a long game to get into data science. Like I loved what I did a PhD in, and that's where I saw my future. It just so happened that pretty much as soon as I started my PhD, I was like, oh, I wish I was doing data science instead. but if someone was at that point of like, oh, should I do a data science or should I do a PhD in order to do data science? I don't think for most people the answer would be yes. Like you can join much younger, and if data science is what you want to do, I think you can just do it right away.
Well, I did like an integrated master's, so I decided I was going to do it was like a 5-year course, and I guess shout out to the Scottish education system because it was all free. But I guess I think when I was like 18 deciding what to do, I didn't know how valuable the master's was until I actually went and did it, and it was like probably the most important year for me at university, and what I learned in that last year is what I use the most now. But I don't think I knew that when I chose to do it. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. This guy, and this guy. I can't ask 3 guys questions in a row as well. We need some female hands, sorry.
Hi. I just had 2 small questions. The first one is just for a bit of background. I'm a student. The first one is from practical point of view. I want to understand because data science is a culmination of so many things. There's stats, there's maths, there's operations, deployment, all of those things in between, and the science behind it as well. Do you think as someone who's starting, because there's always the question of specialization versus being jack of all trades, which I feel is again, you keep thinking, but from your perspective in practically, from at least trade tech's point of view, what do you think as a person who's trying to enter the industry, let's say in particular within marketing or somewhere in digital marketing, what could be that role? Do I focus on specializing? Because I mean, there's so many things and it's daunting because I'm doing a master's. I don't have a background in data sciences, right? Which would be different for someone with CS background. And the second question, just to add on to this, is there's also these questions or articles coming out that the junior positions, because of data sciences and where we're taking the leap, assuming that it comes to a point, are getting redundant. Is that something that you're seeing, or should I be prepared for it, or do something differently, or start thinking about it? Just a few thoughts on that.
I can address your first question, which is that I was very daunted when I was a student as well, and I wanted to do data science because, like you said, there's like 1,000 different areas, and each of them were just so deep. And I had the feeling that, I need to understand everything because they list them all in the job application, and it's a disaster. But I actually don't think that you don't need to learn all of these different things. I don't use computer vision in my job ever. It's very cool and I find it interesting, but you definitely don't need to do it to do my job. I think the issue, maybe if you're just starting down this path, is I wouldn't cut things off too early. It's like, I'm happy that I kept my options open, and I didn't think I was going to come work into the trade desk when I was first learning about data science. So I don't think you do need to know everything, but there's actually loads of really cool things, and it's nice to learn different parts of it, I think.
Trade desk specific question.
What was the second question, sorry?
The idea of getting junior positions redundant because of data science can do, or can do, or AI can basically.
Is AI taking over the world, and should we be worried?
Yeah. Cyber lords.
Can you say that again? Sorry. Junior positions.
Yeah, junior positions getting redundant because of the work that AI can be done.
I view like LLMs as like a tool for data scientists. Like I don't think they'll ever replace data scientists. I think it's something that will help our job, but not replace us. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to come to this guy. Sorry, Shay. Yeah, it's coming. Don't panic. There we go.
Hello. So just a quick one. Is there anything you missed from academia? Something that you thought would be different in the industry? And after the transition, you say, oh, I missed this, or that was cool, I don't have it anymore.
We're all moving to academia. I'll tell you, it's a reverse panel.
You pass always the difficult questions to me.
I can go first if that helps.
No worries. I'm joking. I think, I don't know, maybe because now I'm in consulting, so it's nice because I always go to different projects. But when I was my first commercial role, I was just doing the same thing. So it was one product that we were working from different aspects. And after a while, it got boring. It's because in academia, I got used to just changing projects and working on something new. And that one was the fun part for me. But then after that, when I was just doing the same thing, it was a bit boring. When I joined consulting, then I got that fun part back because I'm able to work on different projects. And to me, because I got used to learning and I love it. So I think I always learn something new and about a new industry and new work and new company, new data. And these are the nice part for me. And that was the part I was missing.
I miss having time to play tennis a lot. No, but I think genuinely, time, because you get to mull over things for a long time in a PhD. And at the time, I thought it was kind of agonizing. But in retrospect, sometimes you kind of miss that when you're in the real world where you have to figure out a solution tomorrow. So sometimes I think you don't miss anything.
No. Can't say in this room.
Amazing. We'll keep it moving then. I think maybe we'll take 2 more questions from the audience, and then I've got 1 more left on my list. So Maddie, over to you. You pick someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'll tell you what, we're going to do 3 more. We'll do the two here as well, and then we'll wrap.
So, well, mine was more of a, I guess, a quick fire advice, to be fair, someone who had to break into the data industry for those trying to switch across. I'd say be open. There's a lot of roles out there that are data-driven, data-specific, will give you that commercial experience that may not be actually named data scientist, data analyst, data engineer. It could be product analyst, it could be operations specialist. They're quite broad. I think the one thing, so I actually got my first breakthrough actually through Data Riddell, so big shout out to them. So I went to Data Science Festival back in, I want to say 23 or 24, which is where I actually met a hiring partner and was successful in getting an opportunity there. And again, my first role wasn't actually called scientist or analyst, it was actually like a specialist role. Which is what propelled me into my career where I am today. So getting out to events like this, networking, meeting people and seeing the different things is definitely really helpful. And yeah, just being very open-minded about the roles, just trying to get that commercial experience and then showing that transferable skill set across will really help those really trying to break into industry. But things like this, like what Data Riddles are doing, especially with Data Science Festival coming up in May as well, it's like absolutely
you can
massive.
come to every event, man.
I
This
do,
is perfect.
Every single one.
Got my first job at the festival.
Yeah,
Legend.
I'm always there, first
Mate,
one there.
legend.
But the return on investment, like you're investing in yourself, you spend an evening and you meet a whole network of people, and this is really where you connect with a community of like-minded people, either in the same boat as you, so you're not alone, or hiring that boat of people. So it's really, really good to come to things like this.
Mate, amazing. We'll shoot over here. There was 2. Oh man, there's one right at the back as well. I've got it. Yeah, the chap with the glasses, he's being super polite there, man.
Thank you. So thank you to all the members of the panel. Hearing all your stories, all your contributions, absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much. So when I made the transition from academia to data science, I was kind of given a bit of a warning in advance, being told academics have a bit of a reputation. Right, we're great at the theory, you've got a head in the clouds in every sort of minute detail of it, but heaven forfend, should we actually have to code something up and put it into practice? Did any of you guys encounter that sort of attitude from prospective employers or in interviews or even in your current roles?
Don't do it again, Minyoung. I'm coming to you first. You can't just keep banging it over.
So I'm in the line of work where expertise matters. So we do still consult a lot of academics. So there is, because you get to mull over some of the questions, sometimes that question that you got to mull over as an academic ends up being exactly the question we need to answer. And we kind of need a code tomorrow. So I think we collaborate with a lot. But I do have to say, there is a different timeline and different objectives between the academics and consulting. So we ask for advice in a very specific way, but every day-to-day things about communication, making sure that it's packaged in a way that we need to package in everything we do it a lot. And that's not something that, it's just different objective function, right? You're just maximizing for different things. So I think there is just different things, but I think there's a role for both, especially in my industry. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. You got a quick one on it, Rory, or should we fire through for 2 more? Let's go. We're going rapid fire. 2 more questions, 1 answer from each, and then we're going boom. There we go.
Yeah, sure. It's an open question for anyone on the panel, to be fair. Do you have any interesting stories or tips about overcoming imposter syndrome in, moving from academia to industry or any other part of your career that you've sort of progressed through?
Watch rejection videos on YouTube. That's staying with me.
I would just say I think it comes with time. Like I feel like just over time working at the trade desk, I've felt confidence build. Yeah.
Anything to add? Imposter syndrome? Roushanak, you mentioned it at the very beginning, didn't you, about like that sort of self-doubt, and was it you or was that Minyoung? It was you. How did you deal with it?
The truth is everybody has that. Whether we come from academia to industry, we go from industry to academia, industry to other industry. So it's a part of us, and that's a good part because it's a sign that it's like, saying something that, hey, you should learn something, you should prove something. So that's the part we challenge ourselves, and we should love it. We should, but there are ways to understand that better and understand like how you can overcome the problem. For me, was I went to Google Women Tech Maker events, and I understood like people, like the very high level women in Google industry, they were talking about their challenges, the same problems that we had, like in, maybe much younger age than and less experienced than them. So talking to people, looking at the blogs, YouTube, and seeing like other people they have, and I think just practice, whether just as really applying for a job or just, just having mock interviews, having presentations, whether you present for your friends or at school or just in front of mirror, all of these things helps to overcome, the problem that you think like maybe you're not enough or people underestimate you, but we should always believe like the people who are interviewing us, they know, like, we have these doubts, and we should also give them, the right to have doubts and question us. And yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much. We'll go to the all in black at the very back. The microphone hopefully goes that far, Maddie.
Hello there. Yes, thank you. I appreciate the time is short. So a question. So basically, I did my PhD, finished my PhD back in 2007. So recurrent networks, blah, blah, blah. And then I kind of forayed into industry and public sector and finance and everything. So now I'm really excited by data science. I'm doing this accelerator course. But one of my main worries is obviously you're all relatively young. So in your 30s, let's say, 20s and 30s. So what is the kind of age range distribution in like the companies that you've worked for, or even at trade desk, for example, generally? Is there room for the slightly older person like myself in his 50s, or does it tend to be like, no, we can only sort of take on 30 and 40-year-olds or something like that?
Do you want to trade desk?
I was thinking about this recently. I've been asked this since moving into a tech company, basically, from friends. And I think actually it's very similar age distribution to academia. So there's a lot of, a smaller number, but a lot of more senior people. And then a lot of people in their 30s and 40s. 30s and 40s, I'd say is the most common, but there's definitely a smattering of people older than that as well, at least here.
I think it's a really good question because we do have a wide range of age, but whether if the question is about you want to come in as a junior role, is there a wide range of age? I think less so. So it's between 20 to 30s or up to 40s, but it's a very good question. I think that's something that we will have to think about as a firm, or as many of the firms. So I think it's something that I think I should probably take home with, honestly.
To me, I guess like you have like a background in something else, and now just learning about data science, so you wouldn't make you a junior person, because let's say in people who are doing data science, every day we have to learn a new thing. So basically the knowledge we had like 5 years ago, maybe it's like useless now. Not that, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I mean, we have to keep learning every day. So your background is very valuable, because you're learning something new, and you can bring this new knowledge to what you learned before, and come up with new ideas. And I'm sure there's so many industries that they welcome that.
Amazing, amazing. Right, I've got one final question to draw things to a close. Natalia, of course, come on.
I didn't see who asked the question.
The handsome man with his hand up.
Sorry.
Yeah. Come on, Natalia, this is what we want. Come on, lean in.
What I'm thinking, like where you are in your job, try to, I've seen people moving within the same company into a different role, and your interest is the only drive.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Natalia. We love that. So I like to finish these panels. I like a tip. We love a tip, don't we? So we're going to fire down the line a tip from everybody. And the tip I would like is, if you were looking back, is there anything that you wish you'd done differently when preparing for your transition from academia to industry? If so, what would that tip be? Or what advice would you give to your younger self now that you have that benefit of hindsight? So what's the one tip that you would throw out there, Roushanak?
Sure. The advice I would give to myself, and I give to, I guess, I encourage people that they want to, either they're a student or they want to just come from other industries, is finding a good mentor. Finding the right mentor, and it's not always easy. Maybe you can go to this kind of, like, for example, me, I went to the Women in Tech. I could find out about people with the same problem. I understood how they tackle those problems. And let's say, let's say you want to get a job at a specific company. You can find someone, just feel, be more brave, reach out to people on LinkedIn, ask for mentorship and guidance. Then some of the questions that people were asking about, what should I learn? I don't know, for example, if someone wants to come and work in the trade desk, what kind of softwares they have to know, what languages they have to know, I don't know, for example, which cloud they have to be more expert in. And if you don't have that nowadays with this, ChatGPT, Gemini, all these applications, there are tons of information you can ask. With this degree, where can I find job? What kind of industries I can apply for? And if you're still students, your career advisory, there are people that basically they are there to be your mentor, kind of. And the more information you get, basically the more data you collect. You're a data scientist, you have to collect data. The more data you have, the more meaning you can make out of it.
Fantastic, thank you. Minyoung, what's your tip?
Yeah, the industry is changing so fast. So I think what you have in your mind is probably going to change. So just do stuff that interests you, because it's, again, I think it's a long run. If you are doing it because it's needed now, or if you think that you have to do, it's going to change. So I think it's very important to kind of stay true to yourself and do things that really actually interest. Like you would do it, like do things that you would do it anyway on your free time, and then try to find that opportunity. I think that opportunity probably exists somewhere, I'd say.
Very good. Like that one, Ruairi?
I'd say believe in yourself. Instead of setting some imaginarily crazy high bar that you think you need to pass, go to events like this or speak to data scientists that you know in your life, understand what they actually do, and hopefully you'll realize that it's not such an impossible task.
It's always hard when you get the last tip, isn't it?
I'm going to go for the younger self one. And so basically when I was in high school and I was deciding what to study at uni, I was 50-50 between computer science and the polar opposite, so studying law. And I'm very glad. So I kind of viewed that as like choosing between like a traditional thing that's, you know, been successful for a long time and something that's more cutting edge. And I viewed like computer science as a bit more of a risk. And now I'm just like so glad I chose computer science.
Good choice, man. Good choice. So we've got mentorships, finding mentors, doing stuff that interests you. I like that one. Believe in yourself and take a little bit of a risk. So that is a very nice end to the panel. So could I please have a round of applause for Roushanak, Minyoung, Ruairi and John. And then again, massive thank you, JB, the trade desk, Gianluca, you always get a little shout, man. So yeah, thank you all very much. We've got time for networking.